with an 87-yard run. Ravens never looked back. Brew put on his purple Jordans, almost 200 on the day for him. Derrick Henry, not Brew. Caught a TD as well. Lamar had 3 total touchdowns. Here's Kyle Hamilton.
I think it says a lot, but at the same time, we didn't win a Super Bowl today. So Bengals next week, division game, going on the road, big win for us today. But, we got to move forward to next week, and it's only week 4, and we're trying to get to what we need to get to. We didn't get to last year. So we got a long road ahead of us, but I think we're on a good path.
All right, Brew, did last night erase any doubts you had about your Ravens?
Yeah, I didn't really have many doubts. Obviously, I picked them to beat Buffalo, but I was loving, obviously, what they did to the Bills. And I like Kyle Hamilton's attitude. That was great. The Cowboys would have been talking about the Super Bowl, getting there, right? He said, we didn't win a Super Bowl. Right. This is one of the best teams in the league, maybe was playing the best. And he's like, we didn't win a Super Bowl. It was a good win. We got to keep improving. I like Lamar on the plane last week when he's like, look, you shouldn't even be doing IG. We got a lot of work to do. This team, one of the keys for them, if they're going to be able to beat Kansas City, is maturity. Because they showed a lack of it in that AFC Championship game. Just blown, the calls, the unsportsmanlike conduct, the taunting, all that stuff was a lack of maturity. And I see signs that maybe they're understanding, look, it's not just the mental or the physical, it's also our approach, our mentally. So I like, obviously, on the field, they looked great last night, both sides of the ball. They're coming into their offensive identity, coach. But mentally, that's what I like.
Yeah, so I've said this before. You go into the season with who you want to be, and then the good teams and the good coaches realize who you need to be. And that's an important thing, because sometimes you have your plan, but it's not working out the way you want it to. So you realize this is what our identity needs to be for us to be successful. And I liked that identity. I'm like you, Chris, and I've said it over and over again, being able to pound the ball, threaten with the running game, both with Lamar and Derrick, gives them a huge advantage. Now, the other thing that's happening is this offensive line's had 4 games together. There's still been some injury issues, but that 3 new starters, the center missed most of camp, so that's starting to come together. The defense with a new coordinator, that's starting to come together. So this is the Ravens I thought we would see throughout the course of the year. And to me, it's similar to what I expected from Buffalo this year.
So I'll give my thoughts on Buffalo in a moment. As far as the Ravens go, this is the exact way. I know Brew wanted them to play, and week 1 went not the way you had hoped. And then, if you remember, that there was either the post-game press conference or the next Monday press conference, Harbaugh was talking about Derrick Henry's workload, however many carries. And we asked Brew, do you like it? Or do you hate this? And he was like, I don't like it, because you want them to play smash mouth power football, run the ball with Derrick Henry. They did that yesterday, and I know, Coach, you want that too, and that was your concern with them last year, that they were going to transition too much to a drop-back passing game with Monken, with Lamar. And offensively, they looked amazing. I am really curious how this back end can hold up against teams that have legitimate weapons on the outside. Because Buffalo, for as good as they've been, we know they have limited talent on the outside, which is why, not to skip past the game that we just saw, but next week is a very interesting litmus test for me for Baltimore. Because Cincinnati's defense can't stop anybody. So I think Baltimore is going to be able to score almost at will if they want to. The question is, when you have Higgins and Chase on the outside, is Cincinnati going to be able to do that same thing to you? Because I'm not ready to crown the Ravens just yet, because I still think they're passing off. Is Mark Andrews done? Is he just done? He suffered a bunch of injuries last year. He's an older tight end. I know everyone's talking about Kelsey being done. Yeah, he got. I think he had 1 target and 0 yards, and that's kind of a trend for the season. Zay Flowers hasn't popped this year the way people maybe would have hoped. So I have some concerns about the Ravens' passing offense, and I have some concerns about the Ravens' passing defense against the great wide receivers. So that's something to watch. But right now, they deserve the AFC second. To me, they deserve the title of the second best team in the AFC.
Ravens in Cincinnati at 1 next week. Bills had gone 43 games without a loss by 6 or more. Last night, they lost by 25.
Wilds hated this place so much.
Why are you doing it?
Also, I thought this was roughing after the fact.
It was, but you know what? The refs were like, that was such a bad play call. Josh Allen completed 6 passes.
He got crushed.
Is he a runner
Well,
at that
that's
point?
the only thing is he's not a passer anymore, so I don't know. It still seemed like, man, they don't
like about
usually
5
let you
seconds
do this.
late.
Yeah.
Here's Josh Allen postgame.
Not everything was bad in this game. I don't want us to come away from this saying, you know, we're the worst, and lot to learn from. I'm glad this happened early in the season, so we can correct things. But make no mistake about it, they came out, like I said, with urgency, and you know they whipped our butt.
Okay, Coach, how big of a deal is this loss?
It's not a huge deal because it's still early in the season, and he's right. They came out with a different sense of urgency than Buffalo did. You could feel it from the opening snap, and anytime that you open up with a gigantic run to start the game and a touchdown, obviously one team's a little bit more juiced up than the other team, and things broke the Ravens' way throughout the course of the game. Derrick Henry, fumbles on the 1-yard line, they recovered for a touchdown. So everything that could go wrong did, and you don't want to go and watch film and think the sky is falling, correcting the things that you need to correct. But I do feel like this is the Ravens I had anticipated going into the season, and I thought Buffalo was going to struggle making the playoffs. I didn't have them as going to the playoffs this season because of the amount of transition they had gone through in the offseason, the lack of firepower from the receivers, and whether or not Josh Allen could be Superman every single game. And when he can't, nothing really works out very well for him.
So that last point is the one I most strongly disagree with, and this is why I think this Bills team is in such a unique position. I think they are able to survey the landscape of their division, and certainly they'll be able to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks from now, and say, we have no must-wins. We are going to use this regular season to figure out the exact best way to tweak the formula for this new lower wattage team.
Yeah.
Because the Dolphins, I think, are done, unfortunately, because of Tua's injury. The Patriots are one of the worst teams in football, and I think the Jets are going to continue to prove exactly who they are. Yeah. So I think the Bills are not – listen, they obviously wanted to win this game, and the Ravens deserved to win, and the Ravens thoroughly outplayed them. But I think the Bills are on the fly trying to kind of reinvent themselves, and they will take, you know, a game like this as a lesson in things. All right, you know what I mean? Teams that want to punch us in the mouth can do it. I worry a bit, more than a bit, about – if their guys on the outside can win against good defenses. Right. And I worry significantly about Sean McDermott tightening up in the bigger spots because I think he has a history of that. But I wouldn't I vehemently disagree that the Bills wouldn't be a playoff team. I think they're clearly the best team in their division.
Well, this is also a team that hadn't, since 2021, it hadn't been a multi-series.
They hadn't been blown out in 44
they hadn't been blown
games.
out.
Right.
So that's a concern. That's something that we haven't seen in a long time.
So
that it's a different experience that we saw last night versus what we've been used to seeing from them for a long time.
I think the Bills showed last night that they're what most people thought they were coming into the season. Now, after 3 weeks, everybody was like, oh, they're the best team in the AFC. They're going to win the Super Bowl. This is the year, blah, blah, blah. I thought I wasn't like you, Coach. I thought they'd make the playoffs. I didn't think they could be a contender. Thought they'd definitely make the playoffs, but not be able to win the AFC. And that's what I saw last night. I saw a good team, but I saw a team that's reloading on the fly. They're not. I don't think they're as good as they were last year and the years before and things like that. And you saw it last night, like Nick, you said. They don't have a great player on the outside as a receiver. James Cook is a good running back. He's not great. He's not elite. The defense is solid, but it's not awesome. Like, only awesome player or thing they have is Josh Allen, but he can't be Superman every night, especially with not
I just look at them as the same position right now the Texans are in, which is we are so clearly the best team in our division. We can figure stuff out along the way.
Yeah, I don't see them being that clearly the best team in the
division. I think they're the only team in that division that's going to be above 500.
Maybe to Drake Mace.
I don't think
Get to the starting spot.
You still believe in the Jets, which is crazy. Well, you believe in them.
I believe in them.
You clearly believe in them.
Kelsey stuffed the stat sheet, but it looks like Rashee Rice is out indefinitely. latest tough injury in Kansas City. Hollywood Brown.